explodes in size.
And the next thing you know, they're experiencing fire activity that they can't even imagine.
Is hurricane season ready to heat up?
Past the weekend, quite a bit of uncertainty of what the system will eventually look like.
Some students head back to school in 100-degree heat.
I think by this point we should probably be at where the kids have full AC.
And infrastructure repairs are underway 1 month after the deadly floods in Texas.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. The Atlantic remains active this morning with one tropical storm and two other areas that could develop into named storms. Now, this makes sense. The 3-month peak of hurricane season starts in August. Florida meteorologist Jennifer Collins is tracking the tropics for us this morning.
We have Tropical Storm Dexter moving into cooler waters in the North Atlantic, expected to become a post-tropical system sometime over the next 48 hours. Meanwhile, we're watching an area of low pressure that could develop along a stationary boundary just off the east coast of Florida. Not likely going to impact us. We're going to see our classic rainy season pattern, more afternoon showers and storms heading into the weekend. And then a tropical wave moving off the coast of Africa will move into the central Atlantic, where some development is possible. Could see a tropical depression form in the central Atlantic here by the end of the weekend into the weekend. A few of our models have been picking up on that. Past the weekend, quite a bit of uncertainty of what the system will eventually look like. It will be steered by an area of high pressure. A stronger area of high pressure would keep the system moving west. A weaker area of high pressure would allow it to remain over open waters. Next name of the season is Aaron. We still have a ways to go until the end of hurricane season on November 30th.
California's Gifford fire exploded to over 72,000 acres as it burns in the Los Padres National Forest. Many people living in Santa Barbara and St. Luis Obispo counties have been evacuated as the fire is just 5% contained. It began last Friday when 4 smaller fires combined into one. 3 people are hurt and more than 450 structures are under threat.
Conditions can change rapidly, and the next thing you know, they're experiencing fire activity that they can't even imagine.
Well, the fire is so big, all the smoke is visible from space. Smoke from the Canadian wildfires is once again affecting air quality from the Midwest to New England. A forecast for unhealthy air stretches from the western side of the Great Lakes into western Maine as far south as Philadelphia. Now, images from a satellite clearly show a ribbon of thick smoke streaming over North America and into those regions. People living in those cities know firsthand just how smoky and hazy the skies are. Now, we have team coverage this morning, starting with Hannah Devaney in central New York.
It's nothing we haven't seen before. Back in 2023, central New York also saw the impact from wildfires in Canada, but that was on a very different scale.
Is several categories below where we were back in 2023 when it was just plain out hazardous, but it's nowhere near to the unhealthy for all and hazardous conditions that we had a couple years ago.
The wildfires in 2023 had the streets in the northeast of the U.S. smelling and looking like smoke. This time, some people have barely noticed.
Not too much, to be honest. I look in the air from time to time, but haven't been able to really see anything, nor smell.
While it's not as intense as 2023, it's still harmful.
Overall, the atmosphere is laden with smoke. Thankfully, it's not thickest at the surface, but it's enough so that the air quality index gets pushed up.
All this smoke has an effect, especially for sensitive groups like small children, the elderly, or people with lung problems like asthma or emphysema. People with allergies can also be impacted. Being outside and breathing in that air is not recommended by experts for people sensitive to smoke. Even if you're not in a sensitive group, doctors say you should avoid prolonged exposure.
With the haze from Canadian wildfires lingering over northeast Wisconsin for the better part of a week, those in the Fox Valley are rethinking their outdoor plans.
It's definitely something I second guess, whether I should risk coming out and putting my health at risk with that way.
Amit James is visiting Appleton from the Netherlands and says it's put a damper on his travel plans.
Sometimes you have watery eyes, or when you're exercising you cough a bit. We did some cycling tours, so you realize it's not like really fresh, healthy air that you're supposed to be breathing in. Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. I would have personally enjoyed to cycle more, but because of the smog, I'm holding back.
Others saying they're looking for the skies to clear in the next few days.
I hope so, but I have a seeking suspicion it's not.
Students in El Paso heading back to school this week, but learning cannot be easy with high temperatures there well into the triple digits. Many parents are worried about their kids staying cool. Our station in El Paso reports most schools are either using an evaporated cooling system or a mix of refrigerated air and not HVAC systems.
I think it's really unfortunate for the safety of the children. I think by this point we should probably be at where the kids have full AC, they're always cold, and so they're cool, especially with these hot summers.
So parents say they want to make sure their kids are hydrated, so they have bottled water on hand. They also apply lots of sunblock. Turning to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where the area is catching up on rainfall this summer after years of drought, which it falls in bunches like this summer. It sends lots of rivers into flood stage. Meteorologist Grayson Frun looks at the levels, including a major flooding factor that's unusual for this time of the year.
We've had several rounds of heavy rainfall across the state over the last month, which saturates the soil in the ground. And when the ground gets oversaturated, that extra water has to go somewhere, so it runs off into streams, causing river levels to rise. Normally during July, experts say stream flows typically decrease as the month progresses. But because of all the rain we got this July, stream flows actually increased. Data from the United States Geological Survey, or USGS, shows that around 95% of stream gauges are reporting above normal flows for this time of year. But thanks to the stretch of dry weather these last few days, water levels are starting to go back down.
They've crested, they've peaked, they're on their way down, which is a good thing. So if we get more rainfall with the streams falling, they're not adding to the crest, if you will. They'll just be adding some water as the stream goes down. So we may see some temporary bumps here and there, but we're not seeing a strong signal of these repeated heavy rainfall events like we had in July.
It's been 1 month since the deadly July 4 flooding in Texas. Now repairs to bridges that were damaged by floodwaters are underway right now. Betty Cross shows us how they plan to get the projects done.
I'm standing on Sandy Creek Bridge, and from here, it's easy to see the damage the wall of water did on July 5th. These double yellow lines, well, they used to meet. They certainly don't anymore, and that's because the water pushed the bridge about a foot. You can see more of the damage over here. This is the land side where the bridge used to be. Now the bridge is here, and that's what makes it too dangerous for anyone to drive across.
Sandy Creek is back to moving slow and easy under this bridge. But that wasn't the situation a month ago when the bridge was hammered by floodwaters.
The good news is we are going to be able to repair this bridge and keep most of what we have here.
Hector Nieto is Travis County's Director of Public Information. He says the county is close to hiring a contractor and finalizing a budget to fix the bridge.
It's one of those where we just want to get it done. We understand that this needs to be done, and it's not a matter of how much, it's a matter of how fast.
Sandy Creek residents are anxious to stop using this temporary gravel road.
It's like really dark at night and it's like hard to see, so definitely being able to just like have a clear pathway would be great.
County engineers aren't planning to move the bridge back to where it was. Instead, they're going to leave it where it is and realign the connecting roads.
What we'll do is we'll jack up the bridge slightly, reinforce it by adding additional pillars on the side, letting it come back down on the reinforced pillars, and then just moving the entryways and exitways to match where the bridge is at currently.
A small community north of Amarillo, Texas is cleaning up after a storm packing straight-line winds caused lots of damage early Sunday morning. The estimated 80-mile-per-hour winds knocked down a number of trees and also some power lines. Volunteers from nearby communities arrived to help clean up the mess and help get the town back on its feet. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out what officials in Utah are doing to protect homes from wildfire. And it's the middle of blueberry season in Maine. We'll check in on this year's crop.
I'm meteorologist Christian Bridges. Here's a look at your forecast for the Northeast. Our Tuesday going to be on the toasty side, especially in New York State, where highs will generally be in the middle and upper 80s. Cooler to the north and east with highs in the 70s. But no matter where you are, you're going to be seeing that hazy sky with the thick wildfire smoke from Canada lingering through the day on Tuesday. There may also be a few afternoon showers and storms across the interior of the region from Vermont into New York State. Otherwise, expect plenty of sunshine.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. A couple of showers possible as we move through your Tuesday afternoon. Not much activity, but just some light rain possible. More clouds than rain. And the same will be true on Wednesday. A few passing light showers will be possible. Under the cloud cover, temperatures could be a bit cooler. Down to the south and west, we're looking at temperatures in the 70s, but we could still reach the mid to upper 80s under some of the drier conditions wherever that occurs. The same will happen on Wednesday. We'll see the humidity stepping up this weekend.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with your southeast forecast. As we head into Tuesday afternoon, temperatures will climb into the mid-90s across most of Florida, mid-80s for the Carolina coast, and in the 70s in the mountains. Expected to remain in the mid-80s across most of the Gulf Coast, with temperatures in the low 90s in the Mississippi River Valley. As we head through the day, scattered showers and thunderstorms will be possible across the Gulf Coast and eventually across the central Florida area heading through Tuesday afternoon.
Presented by the National Weather Desk.
It's not a plane. It looks like a bird, but it's a clear-winged hummingbird moth, which flies by day. This video sent to our station in Portland, Maine. They're also known as hawk or sphinx moths. These large insects flit, fly, and hum like hummingbirds as they sip nectar. And check out snapshots of this glow-by-night wonder, a look at the waxing gibbous moon over Portsmouth, Rhode Island.
And in Utah, parts of Salt Lake City Valley are also facing high levels of fire risk. Paul Nelson is checking out some of those areas and what's being done to keep homes safe.
It has been a long several weeks for the crews at Diamond Tree Experts. They've contracted with the city of Bountiful to install fire breaks around homes close to places like Agate Park. Crew member Aaron Orfanos says the dead trees are a major problem.
They have these dried leaves on the bottom, and the bark is really flaky, so it just lights up like crazy.
Orfano says this is the third park they've worked on this season, and they still have about a week's worth of work to do.
There's a big fence line up here. We've been clearing 10 feet along the whole way. There's a lot of dead trees and low-hanging branches that we had to clear up and pull them off the side of the mountain.
According to the Utah Wildfire Risk Assessment Portal, the foothills of Bountiful are at a very high risk for wildfire, as are the foothills surrounding Alpine, Draper, and Mill Creek. However, Park City itself is only at moderate risk, and a small town like Bullfrog is at a very low level. But Forestry, Fire, and State Land State Forester Jamie Barnes says even if the risk is moderate or low, that doesn't mean people are out of danger completely.
That we would like to see homeowners taking the same defensible space actions throughout the state.
Well, earlier this year, Montana faced grim drought conditions, but July did bring some relief to the state. Michael Santos-Coy has more.
In June, really started to get some good rains, and that has really continued through July, which was not indicated by the forecasts. And so it's really an encouraging story this year compared to some other years.
Downey says that rain helps stabilize stream flows and boost vegetation health in southeast and north central Montana.
The real difference this year is that from last year is we haven't seen the really high temperatures that we saw last year, whereas last year in July was really hot. Whereas this year we've had some, it's been some pretty regular rain events. And you can tell by looking outside and seeing the fact that we're not all smoky this year.
Still, drought concerns haven't gone away. According to the U.S. Drought Monitor, about a third of Montana is still a moderate drought, and nearly 10%, mostly in the west, is in extreme drought. The outlook for August is warmer and drier, but Downey is cautiously optimistic.
Looking forward, it looks like here this second weekend in August, we're going to get some hot weather again.
And water bodies have a big impact on temperatures. Meteorologist Kit Alexander explains.
A large portion of the summer, the southeastern part of the United States has been dominated by the heat dome. And all this is just a large area of high pressure. Many records have gone by the wayside, as you already know. When it comes to heat, we have to factor in the humidity, and depending on how close you are to a waterway or a large area of water, that makes a difference. So, especially if there's a large area or a large body of water nearby. It takes more energy to heat or cool the water than what it does dry air. In fact, it takes about 4.2 times more energy to change the temperature of water than dry air, which means areas near water experience usually warmer overnight temperatures with higher humidity in many cases. For example, in Tampa just recently, they really saw the extreme heat, and what had happened is instead of a typical onshore breeze, the land breeze was really taking effect during the peak heating of the day, along with the urban island effect as well. So when the winds are more onshore, it means slightly less extreme temperatures, but unfortunately, on the flip side, this can really drive up the humidity levels. For instance, like a temperature of 94 degrees recently in Tampa with a dew point of 82 gives a feels-like temperature of 118 degrees. So with that in mind, there's still several areas in the southeast that's going to be seeing some extreme heat and humidity, kind of typical. But I know we preach it all the time, but one of the best things you can do is always check on folks, especially if they don't have AC, check on the elderly. Also, keep in mind about the pets. Remember, the asphalt heats up a lot quicker and is a lot hotter than the actual air temperature, so that's really bad for your pets and their paws especially. So take time in the shade and make sure to keep hydrated.
Maine is in the middle of blueberry season. It's the top blueberry producer in the nation. In peak years, they harvest nearly 100 million pounds. Meteorologist Ryan Munn stopped by a family farm in Buxton to see how this year's crop is doing.
These are blueberry.
Don Estes has worked on his family's farm in Buxton for many years. While right now is the ideal time for picking, he says a lot of labor is needed to get to this moment.
Well, we prune all winter, so these have to be thinned way out. So that's a long job, and then hauling the brush away, and then mowing and fertilizing.
Estes Farm has two different types of blueberries, Jerseys and Blu-ray, and having two different varieties makes their season longer.
Ours starts around July 20th and runs to maybe August 20th, August 15th. It varies. Every year is different.
Thankfully, the ever-changing weather in Maine has not negatively impacted the fruit this season.
We're about on schedule, maybe a little late. Last year we were real early. The spring was terrible. It was cold and wet, and then things turned around. Now it's been hot, but people don't seem to mind.
When I asked Don what keeps him motivated to keep doing this year after year, he says it's the people.
Blueberry pickers are happy people, and because you're standing up picking, it's usually good weather, so they're always in a good mood. And we've seen some of the same people for 30, 40 years.
And when the cameras start rolling on a TV or even maybe a movie production, there's an essential job that we don't often hear about, the meteorologist on set. This week on our podcast, Off the Radar, you're going to hear from a meteorologist that has forecasted for blockbuster productions like Jurassic World and The Walking Dead. Here's a clip of that interview.
A lot of the times that the work I do for productions, it's for safety reasons. You know, they have a lot of people on sets, a lot of extras and a lot of crew members, and there's actors, and there's a lot of running parts. So I provide this little niche where we go in and we provide them customized weather forecasts on a daily basis. And we also alert them when there's severe thunderstorm watches, wind watches, tornado watches, any kind of entity that we feel could be something that could affect their production. We alert them. Really, it gives the customer and the clients an opportunity to speak to a live meteorologist and to get very, very specific details, like how far is the lightning away from my set? How many miles is it? And which way is that moving? Which way is that lightning moving? How long is it going to last?
And to hear more from Brett about his career, listen to our podcast anywhere you get your podcast. And time now for a short break. But first, we take over the skies, wild horses in Montana.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Sarah Converse. While the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes region staying dry, you're dealing with some air quality alerts as wildfire smokes linger in this region. We also have an upper level disturbance in the Ohio River Valley, bringing the chance for some thunderstorms. 82 for Cincinnati. Then for tonight, temperatures dropping for the most part across the region in the 60s.
Well, a good Tuesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at your forecast today across the region, and really not a bad early August day. We'll see sunshine, low to mid 90s, Little Rock, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Fort Worth. Chance for a shower thunderstorm as you get into deep South Texas and along the coast there in Louisiana, mid 80s in New Orleans. Wednesday's forecast, still a chance for a few showers of storms near the Gulf Coast. Otherwise, a typically hot day on Wednesday.
Well, hi there and a good Tuesday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, we're starting to smell some smoke around Seattle. The Puget Sound Basin has some issues with air quality because of nearby blazes. Meanwhile, we're blazing hot in Las Vegas at 107 in Sin City today and 100 in the Mile High in Denver. A system, though, starting to approach the coastline with some summer rain, going to give a good soaking to western Washington as we head into the middle of the week. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
There are several factors that can impact temperature and humidity. One of those is crops because of something called evapotranspiration. Meteorologist Joy Bettenhausen explains what it is.
So we talked about the water cycle, and evapotranspiration, albeit on a very small scale, can still help start the process of moisture evaporating from crops and essentially being condensed into clouds. But this can also aid in the uncomfortability in the late summer. So let's talk about that. Evapotranspiration is essentially evaporation and transpiration combined. So you can really look at most crops here, but we'll look at corn as an example. When we get the wind comes sweeping down the plains, and specifically within the Oklahoma area, that wind can increase corn transpiration. So don't be surprised if you see areas near large farms with mature crops have a heat index that's higher than maybe folks who are closer to the metro or folks who may not be near those crops. So that's why we kind of get a little bit more uncomfortable around this time of year.
For joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Or sometime.